This video shows a tremendous amount of progress and also more finishing touches, so it's a little bit more exciting. I'm definitely excited because of the amount of work that was accomplished, and a lot of this happened within like less than 2 week period. I think like 3, 4 days maybe. And so the first thing was we got the stucco guys to come back and do the final coats of stucco over the brown coat that they put on. And man, that's the first coat that you're seeing now, and I already thought it looked awesome. And I wanted the sand finish. I don't like the little textures in there, so opted for the sand finish, and it matches the color of the house. Not exactly, but pretty darn close, and super happy with the way it came out. We did that section and that section over there, and you'll see why we can do all that stuff later on. And then the grass guys came to do all the prep work, and they ended up doing the full job within 2 days. And we had a day break in between because I needed to take care of a couple things. But they had to wheelbarrow. There wasn't really good access to get the gravel in there. Luckily, I have a back garage door, so we have access right through the garage door into the back, and they had to wheelbarrow each of these little piles individually. When we had the excavation done, we had a little bit more taken out because we knew we needed some clean soil put down. And so that's the equipment that they were using. And that little dump truck that he just showed, I think he got like 5 loads, and there's 5 tons each load. I believe that's what they told me. And so there they go, just wheelbarrowing it in over and over. I helped out where I could, um, helped to keep things going as quick as possible. And here we have it, just almost done, almost got it all in. And so that was a bit laborious and very labor intensive to get it all out into the back, but finally got there. And then they took that little, I guess maybe a stand on skid steer, and flatten it out. And they also did the little step area too. And then they used this compactor to go around and make sure everything was really level and pushed down and all set up and ready. Then they brought in the grass. This was towards the end of the first day, so they were just setting up for the next time to lay the grass out. And that was super heavy. And so, but they got it worked through and got it in there and did a great job. I was super impressed with how quick they did it. And I'm going to put a link. You can see his t-shirt there called Turf It. They're in southern Utah. I think they're... Okay, so we roughly laid out the putting green. We're going to put 3 holes in, tied in some of the rock that was left over from when we excavated. So come with a few flags. Should look cool when it's done. We're going to curve the grass back in that corner. I was really happy with them. This is the second artificial turf that I put in to a house. One of the things I had to do that night was the concrete work for the splash area. I mean, it's a water wall. The water's going to come pretty much straight down, but there's going to be some splashing. And so I just wanted to put like a area to capture as much as I could and have it drain back into the recirculation drain. And I don't think I did enough water on some of the first areas that I poured, but in the end it all turned out, and I ended up painting a concrete sealer to keep the water in. So yesterday they came, they filled this area. This is going to be grass now. One of my naughty dogs pulled that up, a little weed blocker. And here's the grass that's going in. And this area is mostly done. And I just got primer along the back. And the guys at the paint store said that that stuff will act as primer anyway. And so I'm getting the color. They're mixing it right now. I don't have it yet, but I want to get it painted tonight because they're going to be putting the grass in, and I want to
make sure all the paint's down so I don't have to get plastic and cover grass to paint. So we lined up or laid out where we're going to put the putting green, which is this corner, and you can kind of see the shape. And we had these boulders in the yard, so we implemented those into the design. I originally wanted to go get really nice red rock boulders, but wasn't sure where to find them, and I really wanted to be able to pick them out and leave it up to the contractor. So these little cups, there's 3 of them, they each come with little flags, and that's that. And you can see the stucco looks really good, and they couldn't bring their equipment up top there to do the backfill, so I'm gonna have to try and take care of that, probably with a Mini X. But the concrete, I don't think I had it wet enough, but I'm gonna seal it because I still have some concrete sealer, and so I will seal that. So I laid this out last night, and what I'm going to do is put the red rock down in like this. That way, that's why it's a little bit lower than the rest of it, and this will act as the splash pad. Everything is sloped and will drain back to the drain, and I don't get the stone for a few more weeks. They'll go on that, and then I don't know how long it'll take to schedule the masons. We got to use like a lime type of mixture to put the stone up. With the temperature swings here, it's not really the ideal situation, but they assured me that doing it that way, it would stay on. So big, huge progress, and super excited to have it all done. And so the grass guys are coming tomorrow, so I really need to get that back fence painted. So that's where we're at. Before I had the concrete put in, I put in a drip, half-inch drip line, and I put it through underneath the concrete, and it comes out, I think, right about here, and goes along the back of the wall, and you can see it back there curled up. And I'm going to plant 4 fruit trees in the back, and if I plant anything ornamental, it'd be a miniature red maple down there in the corner by the putting green. But I ordered a splitter and an automatic timer for the drip system, and then this will connect here and then to the drip line that goes out. And I have one of these in the front yard, and it works perfect, and so I am just going to copy that and do it back here. And I'm using the splitter so I can keep the hose plugged in, which is right here. And I recently bought one of those stainless steel ones, and so far I really like it. It came with the gun. My pressure's not that good, but I think it's because the diameter of the hose is actually quite small inside, and so you don't necessarily get a strong stream or anything. But if I need more power, I can just bring the pressure washer out, that'll work fine. But so far, happy with this. I haven't really used one of these before, and I really like being able to keep the hose neat and tidy. And that thing reels up really easy, especially with that hose. That's a 100-foot hose, and so I can reach all areas of the backyard with that, no problem whatsoever. So because I'm using the splitter, I'm going to have to go and get an elbow and just change the way this angle comes in so it can come in nice. Maybe a couple different elbows. Might see if I can find some sort of flexible curving hose or something that I can just try to use right here. And so it added a tiny bit more complex than I thought, but Shouldn't be more than a few dollars to get the right parts to make this work well. So if I were just going straight, it would obviously be able to go right in, but since I want access to both, I'm wondering if I should maybe move this one to this side, so it might change the angle where that is, but I don't know if it would make much of a difference. So I kind of wanted to leave extra length of this if I ever needed to make changes. You know, I only have so much length that I can do stuff with this. So I got plenty of other hose, so I might wrap it around a couple different ways to bring it back to here. But for now, since I don't have any plants, this will work.
Finally got the actual paint color. They did a great job matching it. Sherwin and Williams did it for me. I mean, it really covered well with one coat, but I ended up painting two. It went fairly quickly, and I think I could have gotten away with just 2 to 3 gallons for sure. But I now have a lot of extra, but I could use it in some of the other areas. The reason we had to use paint was because the stucco guy said the stucco would not go on that waterproofing paint and most likely peel off and all that other stuff. So they just said, just paint it. And I figure it's the back, got the plants and other things. So I don't really like the way it looks so much, but it works. And it's much cleaner than my son's graffiti. This was just an awesome shot at that night, and I just had to include it. It's a cool picture. Guys came back and they wetted it down again and pressured it down again just to make sure everything was good. And they were working on the putting green a lot as well there. And I asked him because they didn't put a tape seam, or they have like a special glue tape thing. And he said he used to do it, but the glue eventually dries up and cracks and peels off, and then you end up seeing the seam. But the way he does it, you can barely see the seam. But he just uses the stakes and puts them together, and it turned out really good. So I've been happy with it. They do a little bit of concrete for the golf holes, and so you can see that there, and that's some of the prep work that they do before they lay down the green. And I was really excited that it didn't add a tremendous amount. It was $500 to add the putting green, and I thought that was worth it. It adds another dimension of usability to the yard. So I was really happy and excited about that. I'm not even an avid golfer or anything. So, but I do find it fun to go out there and just use the putter and play around out there for a little bit. I was kind of joking around that on that top part, if I had planned ahead or even planned on putting grass up there, I could have done a little miniature golf and put like a putting hole that connects to the lower one. But anyway, didn't do that.
Okay, the guys are on the lunch break, so just wanted to come out here. They haven't put the sand in or anything. The holes aren't exposed yet, but it will be soon. No potty going out here, okay? So it's tucked away into the back. We still have the little step area to do over there. But that'll look nice back there when that's done. Add a nice detail of the green. But
See all those bags of sand in that last shot, and what they do is they use that little spreader and they put sand every square inch, and that sand helps keep the grass pointing upright instead of laying down, which is normally would be during the natural manufacturing process and just storing it. And as you can see, you can barely see that seam, and it just looks really nice. And this process really helps make it look more realistic. And so they spent a lot of time in here putting down gobs of sand, and I think they had probably 12 or 15 bags of sand that they put in. And then they go through and just checking everything, making sure all the stakes are down and in and not showing. And that's real motion. You can see how much time they spend getting the sand ground into there. And so if you ever get your grass where it slowly goes down, where we lived before, we had a Great Dane and he loved playing on that grass and laid on it and really enjoyed it. But eventually it did start going down. But if you get more sand in that machine, you can brush it and pop it back up again. Rinsing down the grass from all the sand and everything just got rid of all the dust on top, and as you can see, it darkened the color and just washed it all away. And it just looks great when it's done. And the last thing they had to do is finish the side, and they just had that all pretty much cut, and so they just had to get the stakes in and finish that up, and that looked great when that was done too. And here's pretty much the final product with the flags inside. I was messing around with some lights, and here in the lower left you can see the lights that I put in for the fountain, see how that would look. And I was painting on the sealant, and that went pretty quick.
As you saw, I just put down some coating to keep water from soaking into the concrete, since that's the drip area of the water wall. I wanted to make sure everything flowed back into the drain. And some of the areas, you saw that I put rocks down. So when this dries, I'm going to go ahead and put down the red rock so you can see what that's going to look like.
I just moved some of the red rock over to the area. I hadn't really had time to lay it out yet. Plus, I'd have to move it all again when we start doing the stonework on the face. So I got started on planting fruit trees. And this soil is so rocky and just rocks everywhere in it. So I ended up getting my jackhammer out and doing it with that, and it went much faster. But it's pretty involved with how I did the irrigation for it as well. So I had to dig a couple holes per plant. But in the end, it worked out well, and I can't tell yet because everything's happening underground how it'll do.
Laid out these trees, the cherries together, the apples together so they can cross-pollinate easily. And I've got the first hole dug, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to connect this. So each one of these is 5 pieces, I think. Yeah. So this is a piece that allows me to connect the drip line, the main 1/2-inch drip line. This elbow connects a regular sprinkler head. This connects to a sprinkler head. And this is a mushroom top that will flood. And this line will go through a section of drip line like that. And then it'll go into this pipe, which will promote deep roots. And so after I get in here, I need to dig a hole for this, put some rock around it, and put the drip line in from that piece. And so I have some soil that'll help break down this clayey type of soil. Yes, there's lots of rocks as well. But doing this way, I talked to some people and they had good success with this, so I'm going to give it a shot and hope I don't lose any of these nice fruit trees.
You're supposed to mix some of the existing soil in with the soil that you buy from the store, like the potting soil. And so I added a bit at the bottom and mixed it with some of the dirt that I had dug out. And then this was the smallest tree that I got, and mixed it all up and continued to mix it until I had it all in there. Then I got started digging the hole for that spike And this is when I brought out the jackhammer, and it actually made it go pretty quick. What I did is I combined it with my buddy's auger and gas powered auger and then the jackhammer, and I was able to get the holes much faster than this first one. Once I got the auger hooked up and got the thing started, I was able to go in, and you got to be pretty careful doing this. It's better if you just go in a little bit and pick it up, because man, when you hit a rock, it just swings it into you. And I think I pulled a muscle in my forearm doing this stuff, but it made it go way quicker to get a deep hole in, and just put some rocks around it to help the water get through that spike easier and into the ground. Once the spike's in, you put that line in, and I took it out to make sure water was coming out, and then put it back in. And so I knew water was getting all the way to the end of the line, and so I went and kept digging holes and going through it. And this took me many hours. I don't know how many hours. I didn't count, but I was tired at the end of the day after this one. I decided to take a little break and test out the putting green, and had a little bit of enjoyment with that, and played with the dogs for a second, and got back to work. After hooking all the plants up in the water system, I went to run and check it, make sure everything was watering properly and running through all the plumbing. And once I saw everything working, I went through and buried the line down the back of the wall and putting some tools away, of course. And this is pretty much where it stands today. I still need to smooth it all out and put weed block down and put down the rock.
Even though I time-lapsed a lot of this, you guys will see it real quick. But to recap, I water sealed the splash basin for the water wall. Haven't laid out the rocks, but I brought them over, a lot of them, and laid a few out there. But dogs have found some sticks and have chewed them up. The lawn doesn't look so clean anymore. And I planted the 4 fruit trees. We have Gala apple, Fuji apple, Stella cherries, I believe, and my favorite Rainier cherries. So I really can't wait for these to come out. And I know these, I don't know if these will fruit or not, but there are a number of them on the tree. So boy, if I can get some just after planting, that would be pretty much a miracle. And this Stella even has a few at the top as well. And then that's the Gala, and over there's the Fuji. And so I'm probably going to keep these not super big, so they're easy to get the fruit off of, and are stout enough to withstand the winds here. I'm excited to see how this drip system is, the extra work it took to get them in. Hopefully it's worth it. The trees will be healthy and happy. And it's, I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock. So I've been out here all day. It's probably only 5 minutes of video, but just wanted to recap it. And maybe I'll cut for a little bit before I go in and shower and rest. What do you think, Cal?
The boulders in the yard make for a little nice RC rock crawling obstacle as well. Bonus.
So after laying out all the pieces, I couldn't believe how many individual pieces there are. You got to make beams by screwing pieces together and stuff. But anyway, I guess I just got, oh, my helpers are here. So I'll just have to start going bit by bit, seeing how that goes. But I've got somebody here leveling out that top part finally, so making progress. I've already started the directions. It's a big booklet. I'm gonna build one and then maybe I'll do a video on another because we ended up buying two. So, all right, here we go. Here is the sampling of some of the bags you get. I need this one first. This is for the bottom brackets. And now I need to find the right screws in one of these bags. I have started working on these, completed the bases on the posts, put some of the beams together, like this one there, and it started raining again. And I still have to level all this, put weed block down, and put some rock on it, keep the dogs from digging, which they already started to do. So, is that you? Maybe. But anyway, with those projects done or getting going, these will be a big change. And so, got a lot of space over here for an outdoor kitchen and living area. And so, there's the upper part, much flatter, much cleaner. And can't wait to build the greenhouse over there in that corner. But in this video, I accomplished actually a ton, huge changes. And so I will go ahead and end it here, and next one will have even more details, and these should be up. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.